Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. So with Trump's trial set to resume in regards to Stormy Daniels, let's look into this one from the Daily Mail here. It says, does Trump face jail and how long will the Stormy Daniels hush money trial last? Here they have the answers to all of your questions. All of them. Donald Trump will be the first former president to go on trial on Monday when he heads to court in Manhattan to face felony charges related to the hush money scheme to keep Stormy Daniels silent during his 2016 presidential campaign, which she obviously didn't do. The eyes of the world will be on downtown New York as the 77-year-old presumptive Republican nominee, he is the Republican nominee, he faces the judge and sits the court as a panel of 12 jurors are selected. Trump's lawyers have been filing a series of motions seeking to delay the trial, but the former president has lost repeatedly in those efforts, setting up the April 15th start date. That's today. Below, DailyMail.com has broken down all the details and answered all the pressing questions about the case. First, we have the background. Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, claims she had an encounter with Trump in 2006, shortly after Melania had given birth to their son, Barron. It happened when the two met at a celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe. Daniels said that she and Trump had sex once. The former president has denied the affair that claims the trial was a politically motivated witch hunt. The Wall Street Journal reported that then Trump fixer Michael Cohen paid Daniels $130,000 in October 2016, a month before the presidential election, to stop her from discussing the alleged affair and thus hurting Trump's chances in the presidential election. Prosecutors argued that Trump reimbursed Cohen in a series of installment payments processed by his business, which prosecutors say were fraudulently disguised as corporate legal expenses in violation of New York law. Cohen, Trump, and then Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg reached an agreement that Cohen will be reimbursed $420,000 in total for the Daniels payment, prosecutors claim. That's the claim. That includes a $60,000 bonus, $50,000 for a different expense, and $180,000 to cover taxes, which would be made through 12 monthly payments of $35,000 each. Cohen submitted invoices for the $35,000 payments per Trump Organization business records. The 34 counts, including 11 counts on the checks to Cohen, 11 on the monthly invoices Cohen submitted to Trump's company, and 12 involve entries in the general ledger for Trump's trust. So will Trump be at the trial? Under New York state law, Trump is required to attend his entire trial in person. The trial is expected to last around 6 weeks to 2 months, and Trump's courtroom requirement will hamper his ability to campaign for president, which in my opinion is probably the main reason why they even have him in this court. But the court will sit every weekday aside from Wednesdays, meaning Trump could use the middle of the week for campaign events. While the trial will not be televised, unfortunately, that's something I was looking forward to following along live, pictures of the Trump court will likely be allowed. In the past, TV cameras have been allowed in the hallway of the courthouse, and Trump has paused to address them. But who will testify? Daniels and Cohen have already indicated they will testify for the prosecution. Other witnesses could include Karen McDougal, who is a former Playboy model who received $150,000 payment from the National Enquirer for rights to her story about an alleged affair with Trump, which the publication didn't publish. Former Trump aides, including his longtime assistant, Ronna Graff, his former director of Oval Office operations, Madeleine Westerhout, and former White House aide Hope Hicks could also testify. David Pecker, the former publisher for the National Enquirer, is also expected to testify. Trump says he will testify in his own defense. Yeah, I would testify, absolutely, he said on Friday at Mar-a-Lago. And the additional payoffs. Prosecutors are expected to dive into 2 other hush money deals involving the National Enquirer and Donald Trump. The first involves the tabloid's payment of $30,000 to a former Trump Tower doorman who claimed to know that Trump had fathered a child out of wedlock. The National Enquirer later determined the claim to be untrue. The second involves McDougal, Playboy's Playmate of the Year in 1998, who wanted to tell her story of an affair with Trump during the 2016 campaign. Trump denies an affair with her. Bragg and his team will argue those incidents prove the payoff of Daniels was not a one-time event, but a part of a broader effort to influence the 2016 election. Trump's lawyers have said they made the payment to Daniel to spare himself, his company, and his family from embarrassment, not to help his campaign. So Trump's defense. The former president's defense team is likely to try to portray Cohen as a Trump-hating liar. The two men, who were once very close, had a falling out years ago. Trump's attorneys are also expected to point out Cohen pleaded guilty to a variety of federal crimes, including for his role in the hush money payment. In August 2018, Cohen pled guilty 5 counts of tax evasion, false statements, and campaign finance violations in federal court, stemming from his payment to Daniels. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, which began in May of 2019 and ended slightly early in November 2021, with part of his sentence spent under home confinement during the COVID pandemic. What punishment does Trump face? If convicted, Trump could face up to 4 years in prison for each of the 34 charges against him. So suddenly Trump is facing 140 years. So under New York law, falsifying business records is usually a misdemeanor, but it can become a felony when there is an intent to defraud. That includes an intent to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime. Bragg argues Trump was concealing a federal campaign finance violation, a state election law crime, and tax fraud. So if Trump is convicted, he could face a sentence of up to 4 years in New York prison for each charge, which is a maximum of 136 years. Given it's a state crime, only New York governor could pardon him. That office is currently held by Democrat Kathy Hochul. However, given Trump's age, he's 77, his lack of prior convictions, and his status as a former president who may be president again, the judge could give him probation. But you wouldn't expect that out of a New York judge, now would you? First, most first-time offenders in the most violent cases are often sentenced to probation. There would have to be added provisions to House's protective detail if they were to be jailed, if he were to be jailed. So he'd still have his Secret Service guarding him if he was in prison. They'd basically have to build an entire new wing to house Trump in the Secret Service. But they don't care. They'll do it. They just want to make sure that Trump is not running against Biden in this year's presidential election. What a bunch of scumbags. But he could be given house arrest in one of his homes, including Mar-a-Lago, which is at the center of his classified documents case. And then wrapping up, what other trials does Trump face? There are 2 federal trials, one for trying to overturn the 2020 election and another for allegedly mishandling White House documents. The first one is the one there in Georgia with Fani Willis. That's the RICO. And then the other one is the one where he was working alongside FBI and they raided his house in Mar-a-Lago and they actually broke off their own lock that they put on the door that they told Trump not to remove. So Trump was in compliance with that too. This is all a bunch of reach, but Trump has pled not guilty on all charges. The hush money case is so far the only one with a concrete trial date, as Trump has sought to delay the others and this one, but his federal election case is paused until the Supreme Court rules on Trump's motion to dismiss. He cites presidential immunity, which could take until June. His documents case has its planned May trial date postponed after Trump appointed U.S. District Court Judge Aileen Cannon pushed back deadlines in the case. The Georgia case is also still without a trial date, though prosecutors have requested it to begin in August. But we'll just have to see. If I had to guess, Trump is 100% innocent, but you just never know with these courts nowadays. Look at what they did to Alex Jones. Look at what they did to Trump there with Judge Ingeron, where the judge basically ordered that both of those guys are guilty, and now the trial is basically how much they owe or what are the reparations going to be, right? So it's like Trump said, they're going after him, but we are their target. And if they can take him down, they can take anybody down. And so that's something that we need to keep in mind when we go to the ballot boxes this November. We need to vote for good people in our local elections. We need to vote for good people at the top federal levels. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and check out. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.